Hey everybody, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of our Zendesk.com build with ACSS. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll take a look at what we have accomplished so far. So this is our dev site right here. We've got the logo in, just a kind of a rough build out of our header area. We're probably going to tackle this upper navigation here today. We've got our hero section pretty much done and wrapped up. I want to make a little adjustment here in our content gap for our buttons. We've got this take a quick tour section done. We've got this section done down here. We've got a rough outline of our footer. All of our colors are in, most of our typography, fonts, font sizes, our spacing. I'm still doing some tweaks and adjustments on spacing, but I think everything else is pretty much dialed in. That was all done in episode 1. So now in episode 2, I think what we're going to tackle is, we scroll down here, we're going to tackle this resources section. We're going to tackle this little CTA card strip right here. We're going to tackle the ROI section. We're going to get this strip done right here, and we're going to attempt to get this section done, which has a little bit of a scrolling logo section, or I shouldn't call that a section, like a logo little container here. And then when I was editing, I realized I made a mistake in the footer. I forgot to, we used the proper hierarchy, but I forgot to actually change the HTML tag on our ULs for our unordered list. So right now there's a bunch of LIs sitting in divs, which isn't fantastic. So we're going to go ahead and fix that. Okay, man, let's get right to work. So I'm going to hit edit with bricks. I'm actually going to come down and we're just going to go straight into the footer. I want to get that really bugs me that I missed that on the first time around. I was actually talking through it, but I never actually clicked the button right here to change this to a UL. And I'm going to need to do that on all of them. So I got to kind of go like a chump here, one by one. And let's just open all of these. And then let's come down to this UL. So this is going to be a UL. See, I even named them in the structure panel as UL. I just never actually changed their tag. So that's going to be a UL. Now, thankfully, I did put a class on them, so I don't have to, manually go undo this automatic padding that gets put on them. I can just fix all of that at once. Okay, now our situation there is fixed. And I just want to show you in the DOM, we never really inspected what we built. So we have a nav, and then there's a bunch of columns in the nav, and then in each column is a heading, and then there's an unordered list with our actual list items, and every column looks exactly the same. So proper semantic HTML. Kyle from the admin bar hit me up, and he asked about this. It's a good question. It's like, heading 3's there, heading 2's there, paragraphs. I do think that they should be headings. If you look on the Zendesk.com website, they're using H6, which I don't really agree with. I mean, there's no hierarchy there to suggest that should be an H6. If your footer has an H2, then I think it makes sense for these to be H3s. I think you want them to be headings. I mean, if we look at the accessibility tree when we come down, we have, let's see, navigation. Let's see, where are we? Here we go. So here's our footer, more or less. And this actually doesn't need to be a section tag. We should probably fix that as well. So if I come over here, this says section. Bricks adds the footer tag by default to the entire wrapper. So on our footer, we more or less just need to bring our section padding back, which pad section M, section space M, should bring that back on top. If I can actually put an M in there, that would be helpful. And then this is section padding X is the left and right for this. Okay. And so now we effectively have all of our section spacing, but it's in a footer with just a div tag because it doesn't really need to be a sectioned content. Footer content is not considered sectioned content in the DOM tree, right? So Let's go back now and see if we have everything proper here. Banner, navigation, toolbar. Where did we go? Here we go. So we have the content info, and now you see that section is gone, right? It's just straight from content info into our navigation, which we have a heading called products. I think this makes perfect semantic sense. That's going to say heading products, whether it's an H2 or an H3. But technically speaking, if there's no H2 here, then these, you could probably make the argument that these should be H2s in their own right. I don't think there's a definitive answer here. I don't think there's a definitive answer. And I told Kyle, I was like, if somebody has a definitive answer with like, solid logic, I am 100% willing to just go with that. Like this is not a hill that I'm not saying I know for a fact 100% one way or another. Whether they're H2s or H3s, I think depends on whether you already have an H2 in this footer or not. You're just trying again to create proper hierarchy. Okay, let's not harp on that for too long, but now you see I have a list with list items. Like this is checking your proper structure here. Okay. In fact, if we look at the Zendesk.com footer, there's no other really call for an H2. So we may end up switching those over to H2s. Absolutely. In fact, if you have some sort of opinion or you think you know what the right answer is on this, go ahead and drop a comment and we'll take that into consideration. Okay. All right, let's go. We need to start building. Like we need to get to work. We're doing a lot of talking and not a lot of working. I want to fix that real quick. So we have the footer situation saved. Okay, we're good there. Let me scroll up here and let's see what, FRCTA links alpha. I'm going to call this dual buttons. I'm going to call this dual buttons. So we're just going to rename this real quick. And actually, does this have any children? Button action? No, not really. Okay. So I'm just going to call this, we'll call this inline buttons right there. Okay. And on inline buttons, see how it's content gap? Yeah, I want content gap divided by 2. And I just love, using calcs with these variables because everything stays in perfect ratio to everything else. We're using content gap between the in the row gaps here. And then we're using half of that in the column gap. It looks really good. Everything just kind of is automatically symmetrical, which is nice. Okay, let's go tackle our resources section right here. All right. First of all, we need resources, don't we? I don't think there's a report, a guide, an article. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this can have articles, it can have guides, it can have reports, all in a section called resources, which tells me, to me, you would have reports as a CPT, you would have guides as a CPT, and then you would have your normal blog articles. And then this is featured product. What does this even go to? The Zendesk platform. Up and running in weeks. Okay. Oh, products. Okay. So there's Zendesk for service, Zendesk. So they have a product CPT. Okay, so I'm just getting my head around the architecture here. Product, because again, this isn't, hey, just build what you see, Kevin. Just statically build what you see and pretend like this website doesn't have any architecture behind it. No. We have to understand the architecture that we're building so that we can build this properly. Even though we're not going to go build this entire website, we're still not playing web designer, okay? We're being an actual web designer. You have to understand the architecture of what you're trying to build. So we're gonna have a product CPT, we're gonna have a report CPT, a guide CPT, and then we're gonna use our normal blog posts for articles, okay? Oh, I was zoomed in a little bit on okay. Good thing I fixed that. That will ruin a recording, my friends. Okay, we got that fixed up. All right, let's go in. We just got to get out of the builder. None of this work happens in the builder. All of this work happens in the back end. And guess what? This is an area where we are immediately going to have to add to our stack. The minute you need custom fields, custom post types, all of that, there is a cause for adding to your stack. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to put in ACF and ACF Pro, and then I will come right back and we will get to work. And through the magic of editing, we are back. Advanced Custom Fields Pro is in. Okay, so I'm going to go immediately to ACF. We're going to go to post types. We're going to add a few new post types. And again, let's just recap. We have products, reports, guides. Products, reports, guides. So I'm going to hit add new, add new, add new in new tabs, right? So this is going to be products, product, products, all right? And reports, report, reports, save, guides, guide, guides, save. And you see immediately over here, we have products, reports, and guides. And then we're going to use our blog posts for everything else. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to get the actual content in. So we're going to say a powerful, flexible platform. This is the title, I guess. Platform. The question is that coming from a custom field? And I would suggest that it probably is. They've got the Zendesk platform here, move at the speed of light. Yeah, nothing on this page actually matches this. That's going to be like, we're going to call that like an editorial headline. So that's going to be a custom field. So we're going to go to field groups, add new field group. We're going to add this to our products, and we're going to call this editorial headline. Field name, default value is none. Okay. And let's go ahead, field group title. This is going to be products. We're going to save changes. And now when we go to products, we can put this in here. We're just going to say platform, because that's basically what they did with this URL. I'm trying to figure out service, cell, platform. They call it the Sunshine Platform. Like who comes up with this stuff? Who comes up with this stuff? And then we have marketplace. Okay. So we'll call it the Sunshine Platform. I honestly don't know. I'm just going to call it the I don't want to call it, if I'm honest with you, I don't want to call it the Sunshine Platform. So that's the slug is going to be platform, which is good. We're going to need to drop the slug if we want to get into that much detail. But the editorial headline is going to be this, a powerful, flexible platform. Okay. A powerful, flexible platform. And then we're going to go ahead and publish that. It is going to have a featured image though, which is going to be that one right there, which I think I already have. It's let's just remember hands on like a map or something. I don't even know what's going on there. I don't know how that even applies to Zendesk. What does that have to do? What does this chick's hands have to do with Zendesk? No idea. All right, do we have probably like, we'll call this an editorial description, or maybe we'll just call it product description. Is that what it is? Whether you bring your own code or configure in a few clicks, Zendesk is easily modified to meet your unique business needs. Okay, I would call that like an editorial. Let's call it a lead. Let's call it a lead, all right? In journalism, they call that a lead, right? All right, so we need and we'll call it the editorial lead, so that's kind of like grouped with the editorial headline. All right, where are we? We are very tab heavy right now. Let's get rid of some tabs. Let's go back to field groups, back into products, and let's add a field. We're going to call this editorial lead. This is going to be a text area. And let's just go ahead and hit save. Let's copy that from here, which I can't even select it. Let's go inspect, see if I can grab it out of here. Okay, great. Grab back here to add new product, refresh. There's our editorial lead right there. Let's go ahead and update. Is there any other custom field we're going to need? It needs to be featured, right? I'm wondering if featured can be a category that's shared. I don't know. How do we want to mark this as? We could say featured yes or no. Featured. How do we want to organize that? Thinking about architecture here. I think we can just add a field. True, like we can do a true false, right? Featured. Default value is no, which I believe is false. Validation, presentation. Let's stylize the UI. Let's say on is yes, off is no. Okay, instructions, save. All right. So this can be a featured product. And this one will be yes. See? Update. Okay. Now, I think we've got that taken care of. Let's look at the others. Let's get rid of that tab. So our report is going to be just the title. We're just going to use the title for these. Yep. And then there's a description. Okay. So we'll just put in a description custom field for report and guide and article. You can probably do that on all, honestly. Okay. So let's do a field group for reports or report. Probably a text area again would work here. There's no bold or any other types of stuff going on. Okay. So I don't think we need WYSIWYG. So we'll go for description. This is going to be assigned to report. And then we're going to go to field groups, add new field group. We're going to go to guides. All right. Guide, text area, description. And actually in ACF, it's better if you kind of make this explicit. So guide description. I'm going to go back and fix the one on report. Okay, we'll call this report description. Report description. Save. And then we need a post description. So this will be posts, text area, post description, presentation. Okay, just assign these to post. That's fine. All right, I think we're good there. Let's go ahead and put in CX Trends 2023. And that's going to be in reports. Add new report, CX Trends 2023. Our report description is going to be immersive CX is the future of successful business. Immersive CX is the future of, what the heck, dude? Successful business. My short-term memory is not fantastic. What image do they have with that? Oh, it's like a bunch of faces. Smiley faces, frowning faces, all kinds of faces. Here it is. Set featured image, update. All right, so we've got our first report in. Now we need a guide. Zendesk AI, the service superpower. Okay, guides, add new. Zendesk AI. Got to check it again. The service superpower. I don't know. I'm not big on why they capitalized or didn't capitalize the, at least, in there. What's the image that goes along with that? Chick chilling, listening to music. And find out how AI can lighten your team's load. Oh, we didn't put a description in down here. We need a guide description. Okay, let's go back to admin here. We're going to add a little guide description. So field groups, guide description. Oh, we probably just didn't assign it. Yeah, got to assign that to guides, save. Okay, add new guide description. Check it out. Find out how AI can lighten your team's load. All right, update, perfect. Now, we need, what is customer support? What is customer support? Post, add new. What is customer support? I mean, that's just ridiculous. Like, that's a stupid article. Zendesk, you got to do better. You got to do better. Decode the term and get 10 tips for improvement. Decode the term and get 10 tips. Term and get 10 tips for improvement. Okay, improvement. Let's spell things correctly. What kind of featured image are we rocking for that? It's a girl on a phone again. All right. And she's looking at a bolt. Like, what is going on with this content? Okay, why is that a thing? I don't, look at this. Look at this. She's looking, look at there. That's a bolt. That's a bolt. What is going on? What is she looking at? Oh, what does this girl listening to music have to do with AI? Zendesk. You need some work, my friend. You need some work. Okay. Like, I don't know what is tweaking this little map, right? What? I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say it. Okay. Let's just keep moving on. All right. So here's the Zendesk. So now what we need is our resources. These are called accent headings. At least I call them accent headings. Let's get back to our builder here. And we're going to come down and we're going to create a brand new section. And this section is going to have that base light background color. So we can immediately just hop in here and go BG base light. By the way, if you don't know the class names, you can just search for BG or backgrounds, right? Background, and then just pick your color and it'll throw the class in there for you. But you know, those are also easy to memorize. Any background class is just BG and then the name of the color. It's all good. All right. And then we're going to name this in here. This is resources. Perfect. And then this is content alpha. No, that's, oh, that was going to go in, weren't we going to put that in loyalty? Wasn't that really supposed to go in the loyalty section? I think it was. Is this a section on its own? It is. And then we have the inner right here for content alpha. Okay. We can just convert this to a container, convert to container, and then toss it in here. And then get rid of that container, because I think that was supposed to be part of that section. It all goes in loyalty right there. Okay, and then we have our resources sections. We've got hero, tour, loyalty, resources. We're staying nice and organized. This container is going to have an accent heading, which is going to be the H2 for this section. So it's important to have an accent heading class that takes care of the styling so that you can use any appropriate semantic tag that you need to use. So let me demonstrate what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in a heading here. This heading is going to say resources. And then I'm going to call this an accent heading. I'm going to use the FR accent heading from frames and then just rename it. So accent heading. So for those of you who don't like the FR extension to stay on things, in these cases, it's just a simple renaming of the class. And then we're just going to style this class. So, and it's already got a couple little default styles here from frames. So text M, I think in this case is fine. What I'm noticing is it's a completely different font. It's using our body font. So we're going to have to switch from feature to social, and then we're going to uppercase it. And once we uppercase it, it might be a little, oh, they're actually using a condensed version of that font too. I'm not really going to bother with that all that much. Font variation settings. Well, that's interesting. That's a new field in Bricks. Haven't seen that one before. I might go text. We're definitely probably going to go text S on this. And then I don't think, it does look like they did a little letter spacing. We'll go with like 0.35 M, something like that. And then we're going to use that border, that little accent border. I think that the best way to do this is to actually attach this to the accent heading. And so we want this accent heading to always span full width because it looks like that's what they do when you see them. See, they always do that. And so we want everything to happen at once when we add the accent heading class. We want a little bit of padding down there, it looks like. We can just do something simple like 0.5 M, 0.75 M, really dial it in. And then border, bottom. We're going to go with, remember we did a border, didn't we do a border width variable? Style is solid. And then color is black trans 10. Awesome. And I'm actually thinking about, now that border matches, the black trans 10, it does make a little bit of sense to do the border width even if you're doing nothing else. But I think it makes complete sense if we also use the black trans 10. Code that in so that that is globally controllable with a variable as well. So I'm going to go back into theme file editor here. Again, we're not racing to build this site. We are trying to work quickly, trying to work efficiently, and arrive at a scalable, maintainable, accessible website. We could absolutely just go faster, doing everything at the ID level, not caring about any of that stuff that I just mentioned, and making all static content, not caring about site architecture. Of course, we could just race through and beat the clock, right? But what you end up with is absolute trash. That's not professional work. That's not how a professional works. So I'm going to say border color. And, I'm starting to think, we might call this like divider width and divider color. It's like, what do you want to do here? What do you want to do here? Black trans 10. is going to be our color. So if we change this to divider width and divider color, which I do think semantically makes more sense. I don't think border was the greatest thing to go with. And it's you want to have these arguments with yourself early on. You don't want you don't want to just say, oh, well, we'll take care of it later. No, because you've just done a gazillion more things with it, right? It's good to have these arguments with yourself later on. I'm sorry, now versus later on. And so I'm having that argument with myself right now. I'm saying, Kevin, that was a bad border width, just not a good name. Divider width, divider color, much, much, much better. And so what we're going to see is some broken areas where that divider was. Right here, for example. So hero bottom, go to style border, border, and then it's just as simple as changing that from border to divider. And then we can look where else that was occurring. Oh, right here where we just did this. So on our accent heading. So we're going to call that, instead of border, call it divider. All right. And then make sure while we're doing this, let's go to divider color, right? Pop that in. And then let's go back to where we just were here. Should have done that when I was there. All right. Divider color. Great. So we're fixing these things. And I think the only other one is in our header. See, we didn't do too many instances of it before we had that argument with ourselves, which is good. You want to have that argument with yourself early. So we do divider width, and then we do divider color down here. I think the word divider makes much, much, much more sense. Okay. And now we're good. Now we've got that dialed in and we've decided on it. The argument has happened. We can now freely move forwards. Great. Fantastic. What else do we want to do? Okay. So we were down here doing our little accent heading deal. I was just looking, is there anything we have to do with color with it? Anything? It doesn't look like it. So now what we need is another container. Oh, where are we, by the way? We should be in the resources section. Yes. So now we need another container. It looks like we're going to be doing a grid here, and we need to query our items. And this is going to be very interesting of how we're going to do this. Because we're querying from different areas. Okay. It's not often you have to do this. So it's good. This is good. This is good practice, right? Good to run into these scenarios. All right. So I'm going to come down here. Immediately pop another container in. We actually have a frame that looks like this that would take care of this for us. But again, I'm trying to use frames as minimally as possible because I want people to see building from the ground up, right? I'm going to call this a resources grid. I'm going to actually give this a class, resources grid. And then we're going to call that resources grid in our structure panel. I'm going to build this statically, and then we're going to figure out how we want to deal with this from a query loop perspective. In my mind, because I don't know off the top of my head, just being honest, if this can be done with a single query loop, or if we need a query loop for each individual type of item. I mean, I know they can all be queried together. What I'm concerned with is getting one of each. Okay, because we need one product, one report, one guide, one article. And if there's multiple products, it's going to try to query those, right? So it's just, we're going to figure that out. Again, I say, don't get bogged down in technicalities. Don't let those things prevent you from making overall progress on your build. So let's just go static for a minute. What we need is I'm going to call a resources card. And it looks like we're going to have to use a bit of a container query type situation here. I know container queries aren't 100% supported. In fact, let me back up. Let's go. Can I use container query? Like I like to be on the bleeding edge. It's not over 90%. I will do it the old manual way. I will show you how to do it the way that is supported everywhere. But this is a situation where you would use container queries in the future. Let me just make that point, okay? But in this instance, because we're not over 90%, I will stick with the old method of doing this. So we're going to need a resource card with a modifier class, okay? We're going to have a resource card wide and a resource card. So I'm going to build resource card by itself, and then we'll handle the wide version second. Awesome. I'm just trying to talk you through things, okay? So I'm going to put a block in here. This is going to be our resource card. And I think here's where you're going to see where somebody asked me in the comments of the last video, why do you put extra wrappers like a media wrapper and a content wrapper in your cards? And I answered them. If you want the answer to that, go find that comment in the last video. I'll kind of walk through it here, but I think you're going to see why as we build this out. So pretty much what I was saying all the time is I go block, block. We're going to put 2 wrappers in immediately. One wrapper is going to be our media wrapper, and the other one is going to be our content wrapper. Now, we know what goes in media. That's media, right? Which is an image. I call it a media wrapper because it might be a video. I don't know. It might be an image. We don't know. So media is better than calling it image because image doesn't fit if it happens to be a video, but media works for everything. All right, so this is gonna be our image. I'm gonna just name that media. And then I said, just kind of build it static first. You can make it dynamic later. Just work your way towards the solution. So we need that chick with the map again, okay? And there we go. We've got a very, very wide looking card. What goes in our content wrapper for this? We need, okay, so in our content wrapper, we're gonna need another block for this row right here. And then these 2 things can live together. It's a heading and text. So we need a block, heading, and text to get started here. So we're gonna add a block, and then we are going to add a heading, and then we're gonna add text. Awesome. And then inside that block, first, what are we gonna call that block? We're gonna call that the meta wrapper. That is what is referred to as like meta information. And so we're wrapping the meta information, thus it's called a meta wrapper. And inside our meta wrapper, we need a badge, which we will just call badge. That's not even gonna be an element in our BIM here. We're just gonna call this badge, and then category. And our category needs to have an icon that goes with it. Okay. Yeah, let's see, there's a lot. And if you don't, statically, this is easy stuff. If we don't care about architecture, we don't care about scalability, we don't care about maintainability, it's easy to just pop in manual static icons places and then just move on with your life. But this is a very robust website. If you do that for a client like this, you're going to absolutely destroy the scalability and maintainability of this website. You are not doing your job as a professional. Your job as a professional is to recognize these challenges and these limitations and these potential nightmare scenarios and plan accordingly for them, work around them, provide solutions for them so that problems that would exist down the line actually don't end up existing. That is what your job as a professional is. It's to do this extra work, okay? Put this extra brain power and extra effort into what you're doing. And yes, my friends, charge accordingly for this, okay? All right, so we're gonna go with label and we're gonna go with category. The category is gonna be a div, all right? So the label can just be text. However, we talk about future limitations. An extra wrapper never hurts. An extra wrapper never hurts. So we're gonna use a div for the label, and we're gonna use another div for the category, all right? So we're gonna call this label. Well, actually, I'm not even gonna give this a class yet. We're gonna call this label here. We're gonna call this, and meta, we're gonna call this, actually, yeah, I want this to be separate from our BIM, like I mentioned, but I want this to be the category, okay? And resources grid category. All right, resources card category. Yes, I'm just making sure when I auto BIM all of this that everything gets named properly. Okay, in that, I want the actual label text, okay? So we have in our label right here, we're gonna throw a text element, and we're just gonna make this say featured for right now. All right, featured, whatever. This is gonna be a span, okay? And then our label, what are we gonna call this? Our label text. Perfect, okay? Category, we need an icon. And then with and that's why I did a div there, all right? Text, this is gonna be our category text. Awesome. And AutoBIM is going to take care of making all of these classes for us, which is absolutely fantastic. That's going to be a span right there. Okay, our icon is going to be an SVG. I'm just going to select anything for right now, like this little caret will do. And I can't do anything with that until there's classes on it. All right, so we'll leave that alone for right now. I know everything right now looks like absolute chaos. I understand, but we're about to put mass order to this chaos. All right, so I have a resource card. Let's collapse all of this. I'm gonna hit auto BIM. I think we've gone far enough. Look at all these classes that are going to get automatically created for me. The only thing I want to be careful of is this label. I want to exclude this label and label text from being part of the resource card. This is going to be a standalone. Think of it as like atomized. That's the word. It's like an atom. ATOM, right? In atomic design. That's from an atomic design principle. It's going to be a separate atom because I can use this label in many, many, many different places. It's not just part of this resource card. It can be used elsewhere. Thus, we're going to exclude it from being in the BIM, in the element version of this BIM class. All right, so I'm going to hit apply classes, and that's it. It's all done. So media, all these things have the proper classes on them, except for my label, which I'm now going to go in and say, this is just a label, and this is just label text. See, it's not part of the resource card. That's very, very important that you make these kinds of distinctions and you recognize what is an atom versus a molecule. I need to do a whole video on atomic design because atomic design and BIM go hand in hand. Hand in hand. Like, I can't think of a metaphor, or a simile, let's move on. Okay, so meta wrapper now. Let's bring order to the chaos. First of all, this icon is absolutely out of control. So we're going to do the same trick we did yesterday to overcome Brix's limitation in icons and classes. And we're going to say icon size. We're just going to put that at 1M. Icon color is going to be black for right now. Then I'm free to go in here and say icon size, right? Icon size, and then fill is icon color. Icon. I really hope we have time to get to our grid down there that we were going to have a lot. It looked like a lot of fun. It just looked like a lot of fun. Where are we at? Yeah, we're going to have to do that next if we want to fit it into this episode. Okay, so my icon is now under control in my label. Okay, in my category, I want to display that as flex. I want to align items to the center right there. And I want to put a little row gap of like 0.5M, little column gap. We probably actually won't even need a row. All right. I want this label to be a line height of 1. I want the label text to be the line height of 1 as well. This is fine. This is fine. Explicitly want this to be an H3, but I want it to be sized like an H2. All right. But I'm thinking, yeah, we do. So I'm just going to put an H2 variable in, and that's going to take care of that for us. I think that's what it looks more or less what they did, okay? We're going to say a powerful, flexible platform. It actually looks like it's their H2, but they probably put a custom size on it. They did. No, H3, 48 pixels. Yeah, but that's not the same size as their other H3s. They put a custom size on that. So I think what I'm going to do is look at our H3 size, right? Big difference, big difference. So I'm going to take our H2 and I'm going to divide it by like 1.1. And I'm going to see if that gets us, or 1.2, 3. I mean, I can just do whatever I want here to like really dial that in. I think 1.4 gets us to where we want to be. Okay. All right. In this meta wrapper, if we think about this, we just want to use flex for that. So we're going to say content, flex, horizontal, put those side by side, put a little bit of a 1M gap between them. Let's align to the center. And we're good to go there. Now, the fact that I have a content wrapper means that I can put, if I need to, padding around all of this content, but I don't really need to. I just need a gap between my media wrapper and my content wrapper. And then because I have everything in a wrapper, I'm free to put a different gap inside of the actual wrapper instead of between the wrappers, if that made any sense. But see the two wrappers here? So on my resource card, I can say, well, that's going to be a content gap. And then inside of my content wrapper, I can make this different if I want to. It gives me a lot of flexibility, like I just did content gap divided by 2. Gives me a lot of flexibility in how I'm spacing my content out. And again, if I needed to, let's say, have a full width image versus a padded different background color for our content, I can do that because of the wrappers that I added. It just adds a ton of flexibility. Okay, so resources, we're gonna make this a grid now. So our resources grid, display this as grid. If we look at this grid, we can see it's a 2-column grid. It's a 50-50 grid, more or less. At least that's what it appears to be to me. So I'm just gonna say grid 2. Now on grid rows, I'm gonna go grid 3. Why? Because I see 3 things right here. I think that's what's gonna work best for us. All right, so let's make this label say product. All right, and then I just need to continue styling some stuff up. So this needs to be uppercase. It needs to be font weight 600. And it probably needs to be text S. I would say everything in the meta wrapper needs to be text S. So we can put that on the actual meta wrapper and everything else will inherit that. Our featured needs to be styled up. So we're gonna go with uppercase on that as well. Looks like that's got like a 0.02, 0.025 there. And that actually may be like text XS. All right, text XS, drop that down. It looks like it's a bold, so font weight of 600. And I made it a wrapper because now it's very easy for me to put that background color on there and drop a little bit of padding in here. I could have done that on the element by itself, but then I would be out of wrappers. I would be out of of possibilities. I still have more possibilities because I put this in a wrapper by itself. I know that may not make a lot of sense without an example, but just trust me, just trust me. Okay, so backgrounds, we are gonna go with our accent color, right? And then look, what are we gonna do with our text, guys? Well, we automatically have shades. I can just immediately go accent ultra dark, and now it's dark, but it's not black or gray. It's in the same color family as the accent color. It just really helps tie things together. All right, typically on labels like this, you need double inline padding. So if 0.25 is the top, 0.5 would be the sides, and that'll typically make that look really good. And then it looks like those corners got rounded a little bit. So I'm gonna go into border radius here, and we will say 0.25 put that on all sides, and that looks to be about right. Okay, so now I've got a label that I can use more or less anywhere. That looks really, really, really good. Our product, okay, and it's gonna look a little different because I'm not going through the legwork of adding another font, the condensed font that they're using. So just bear with me in that regard. Did I put this as line height 1? I did, okay. All right, that works fine. Product, I think that's fairly good. We need to get that text in here. So let me steal that real quick, and then I want to get onto that other section. This one may go a little bit over an hour. It's hard to tell because I stopped to install ACF. I don't know what our actual time is on this, but we're gonna finish up this section and then move on. Okay. What do I need? I think I've got my card pretty much the way that I want it. On our media, I want to always make sure, first of all, I want this to be a figure tag. I want to always make sure that this is 100% width. All right. And I probably want to, control the aspect ratio on here. So go to aspect ratio, and let's just say 16:9. Just so in case, Karen in accounting, Beth, Becky, whoever comes in and maybe puts in a new product in the CPT, they're gonna always pick that vertical image. Even though clearly you can see it's made for a horizontal image, they will pick a vertical one, right? So this aspect ratio helps protect against this situation, and in conjunction with that, we always want to go with an object fit of cover. We want to make sure that there's no caption here. 50-50 is the object position by default, so we don't need to set it explicitly. We need to make sure there's no border radius. Ooh, look at this little, oh, yes. Before we move on, my friends, we need to make this heading. We're going to use a clickable parent technique here. We're going to make this the URL. Right now, it's going to go to #, and we want to extend this to the entire card. in automatic CSS, that's super easy. You go to your card, style, layout, position, relative, click on your link, and then add the clickable parent class. Now the entire card, my friends, is clickable. I can click anywhere on that card, right? I also, look what happens when I focus though, it still focuses here. So what I want to do is select my parent, my main card, okay? So we're gonna go select resource card right here, and we're going to say focus parent, and that's actually going to change the focus style to the entire thing, which is really, really, really fantastic that it does that for me by default. Okay, I now want to add the hover effect. So what we're gonna do, resource card, we're gonna go to custom CSS here, the easiest place to do it. I'm gonna say when we hover on this card, I wanna do something to, oh, Bricks is not, its shortcut's not working for root. We're going to do something to the media itself, right? Yes, what are we gonna do? We're gonna scale the media 1.1. Look at that, look at that. Now, in order to fix our little overflow situation and our transition situation, we need to go to the root media, and we're going to transition this, scale 0.3 seconds, ease in, out. Now we got that to be nice and smooth. We might want to go 0.4 seconds on that, make it a little bit slower. And then why do we have a media wrapper, ladies and gentlemen? You know, somebody asked, hey, why do you put a media wrapper on things? Because it's very easy to do stuff like this. Media wrapper, overflow, hidden, right? I didn't know we were going to need to do that. What I'm telling you is the principle of having a wrapper on these things gives you more possibilities, and you never find yourself in a situation where you have to work backwards. The wrapper gives me 2 extra pseudo elements if I need it. If this isn't a figure, that's not gonna have any pseudo elements at all anyway. So having a wrapper gives me at least 2, but because this is a figure tag, I now have 4 pseudo elements available to me if I need to do some crazy pseudo element type stuff. It's about possibilities. That's what it's about, okay? All right, so we've got that dialed in. That is perfect, looking really, really, really good. Check theirs out. Theirs doesn't go quite as far. Ours is scaling a little bit out of control. Let's go 1.05, and that's perfection. Okay, let's go resource card. We probably need to duplicate our resource card. And now what we're gonna do is modify this bad boy. So this is gonna be resource card double dash, and we are going to say wide. So this is gonna be a wide resource card. So when it is a wide resource card, the first thing we need to figure out is what is this ratio right here? I would say 2 to 1, right? And to me, I go with grid on that. So we're gonna display this grid, and we're gonna say grid template columns. Template columns is, now I can do this in the content area right here. I could go to display grid, I could do it all here. I'm just sensing that I'm probably gonna have to do other special things here. And so having all of my CSS in one place, if you know how to write CSS, is more efficient, is more organized, in my opinion. I'm gonna go with a grid variable from automatic CSS. It's gonna be a 2-3 variable. We're gonna start with that and just see if that gives us the ratio. We want maybe a 1-2. Maybe a 1, I think 1-2 is gonna be perfection. Okay, we'll go with grid template rows of grid 1. This is mainly for Safari, to help Safari, and it's, you know, I was gonna use the R word. I'm not gonna use the R word. Okay, here we go. Let's go with the gap of content gap, and that looks really, really great. Are we dropping? Yeah. Okay. We need immersive CX. Let me. Oh gosh, I didn't mean to click that. I'm so sorry. Let's go back. I need to grab this right here. Oh, okay. Grab that. Perfect. Come in and put in this content. Again, we're just doing this static right now, and we're gonna need to make this dynamic in the future. This needs to be a P. My gosh, get these to be Ps. Text basic right here. Why is that called text basic? Golly, I didn't name that. All right, description. Let's rename that class description. In Bricks, it's really, you know, renaming classes is so easy. That's why I don't, you know, make sure I'm crossing every single T and dotting every single I. Okay. What do we want to do here? Resource card. We've got resource card wide. Oh, yes, a flexible, it's CX Trends 2023. But what I want to do, yeah, that's fine. We'll just change this. CX Trends 2023. But notice that the size needs to be toned down. When the card is wide, the size is much smaller, okay? So I'm gonna go more with probably text M here. So, and I need to do this all on the modifier class. That is the key. So remember resource card wide? That's why I said I sense that I'm gonna have to do more things down here. That's why I'm doing this all here. So root is gonna be heading. That should be it, right? Let's do a border check. Border 5 pixel solid. Did I name it right? Solid red. Okay, it's not called heading. What is it called? Oh yeah. Resource card heading. Okay. I'm gonna have to name this stat. We can't use the root selector for all of this. Okay. Resource card heading. There's still that limitation. There's still that limitation where we don't have a root selector for another class. So we kind of have to reference that statically. For those of you who are lost, I'm so sorry. Font size, we did get a little bit into technical land here. This is going to be text M times 1.2, and then I'm just going to dial that in. So that looks like 1.7. Yeah. Okay. Rock and roll with that. And then does it have the, oh yeah, notice it doesn't have the featured, which that's going to be there using conditional logic later when we make this all dynamic. This needs to be called description right here. Okay. I'm just thinking, let's drop this. So in our meta wrapper, our label get gone. There we go. And we still aren't doing anything with background colors or border radius or anything else like that. So I think we're good. What we need to do is take this resource card and duplicate 2 more times. Okay. Excellent. And I think what we need to do here with our resources grid, all right, we're going to take resources grid. We need to say root, and then the first div, let's say first child, border check. Make sure we're selecting the right one. We are. That's going to be grid row. Grid row span 3. And that's going to basically take up those rows on that left-hand side and force the others next to it. Okay, let's refresh. And we're getting there, guys. We are absolutely getting there. Why? Oh, okay. I see. Okay. When this is wide, we need I think we need align items to stretch. Okay. So on the wide class, we are going to say, okay, root, align items, stretch. I think they already are. The media, is the media wrapper stretching? Yes, it is. Is the media stretching? No, it's not. Okay. So let's go back to resource card wide. And I believe we just steal this right here and just change this to media. We're going to try a flex 1, and that is going to work right there. That's already got an object fit cover on it. It's already got, so it's not going to warp itself. That's good. And then what we need, oh, hey, another reason we needed the content wrapper that we didn't even know ahead of time is we are going to steal this, and we're going to come in and say resource card content wrapper. And we're going to say align items here to the center. Is that justify? Justify content to the center? Justify content to the center. There we go. And now we get proper alignment there, though they didn't even take that step because they're not as slick as me. And that's okay. That's okay. All right. I'm just kidding. All right. Let's get these dividers going. I really want to get to that next grid section. I want to get these dividers going. Okay. And we need more of a gap in here as well. Our row gap, what I'm seeing is that our row gap needs to be different from our column gap. So this needs to be grid gap. Okay. And the grid gap thing is that I was going to revisit this. And see, if there's a better way to do it. Somebody mentioned, content gap there versus like a multiple of content gap instead of stealing the grid gap for what we're trying to do. I think I might make that adjustment. I don't know. I'm still undecided on that. I actually feel like we need almost like a content gap large or a grid gap large just for certain situations like this, but I'm still not sold on adding that either. We can 100% do what we need to do with calcs. It comes down to pros and cons. So grid gap divided by 2 is going to get us that. And then over here, I think we can just use that big grid gap that we were using. Grid gap. Okay. Let's save and check that out. That's a little bit better. Why didn't it? Oh, yeah. It clearly did not use what I asked it to use. Okay, that needs to start to calc var grid gap divided by 2. And then var grid gap divided by 3, 2. Oh, I'm doing the wrong one. Okay. Grid gap there, and then grid gap divided by 2 there. And did that give me my calc? It did not. We're going to go calc, drop that in a calc. Okay. Calc var grid gap divided by 2, and then grid gap. That's it. That is correct. Though I think that needs to be divided by 3. Okay. All right, divided by 3. You rarely see this. Like, you normally see kind of more symmetrical spacing in grids where they went narrow and then big, like wide here. I'm also thinking about how we're going to do this with our pseudo elements. I think we'll be all right. Let's keep working our way. We can dial all this in later. It's not that big of a deal. So on our resource card wide, not the normal resource cards, just the wide version, we want a pseudo element. We want a divider, right? So we're going to go root. So this is resource card wide, and I'm going to make this an after. All right. Content is going to be blank. Let me go up here. All right, let's bring this up higher on the page. All right. So content is going to be blank. Width is going to be 100%. Height is going to be divider height. Divider width. That's what we called it. Remember that variable, that global variable for all of our dividers? It's coming in handy once again, my friends. Background color on this. Background color is going to be divider color. Awesome. And you see, I've already got one. Now the challenge here is, why isn't it actually being 100% wide? It's stopping because it's part of the grid. It's being treated like a grid item because we're using grid in here instead of Flexbox. That's a little bit of a challenge, honestly. The question is, do we go to use Flexbox? I think we might. We might switch to using Flexbox on our wide card. See how this was display grid? Let's try to use flex here and just see if we can get this done. Flex direction is row. I guess that would be a limitation, right? If you're going to use pseudo elements of using Flexbox or using grid instead of Flexbox there. Okay. Our gap, align items, stretch. We just don't have, what is our content wrap? Oh, well, that's going to be the same limitation with Flexbox, because it's going to treat it as part of the Flexbox and it's going to put it in a row. That is going to be the same limitation. So I can just undo. I upgraded my bricks. Oh, undo is not working. Oh gosh. Okay. All right. Fantastic. That's fun. Let's go to grid template. I've got another thing we can try. Don't worry. Don't worry, my friends. There's always another solution. 1, 2. Was that what we had? Yeah, we did. Okay. All right. We're back. We're back in action. We need our grid template rows. Grid to satisfy Safari. Why can't I type today? Grid 1. Okay. Excellent. All right. I think what we're going to do is position. It's already position relative. That card is already position relative. I'm going to go down here and go position absolute. This might feel a little workaroundy, okay? Position absolute, but now look, it's going 100% across, right? I just need to position it properly. And what I want to do is position it in the middle of the gap, right? And the way we're going to do this and make sure it's always positioned even if the gap changes, because now we're facing a breakable situation. If I don't use some sort of variable to tie these things together, we are facing a breakable situation. So the first thing I want to do, I want to go back to our resource grid. This is where our gap is set, right? This is the gap right here. 3, 2, no, that's the column gap, okay? 2, there you go. So there is our gap. I think we're going to go divided by 2 to give us more space, but we need to take this out and we need to say that this is going to be var call gap. I'm sorry, row gap. Sorry, my brain short-circuited there for a minute. Might have had a stroke. I don't know. If I'm slurring my words, apologies. I'll be back and better tomorrow. So var row, we're going to call this row gap. And then I'm going to come over here and I am going to give our row gap a value. All right. So here, row gap is equal to what we wanted it to be. So that's fixed. And now we can immediately go to our resource card. We can go down here and find our absolutely positioned pseudo element. And we're going to say that you are 0 from the left. Okay, so you're positioned all the way on the left. And then from the bottom, we need to go negative our negative half of our row gap. So if we did row gap times -1, that's going to make it a negative value. It goes all the way to the bottom, but I actually want that to be divided by 2 times -1, and bam, we get dividers right in between our cards automatically forever till the end of time. And if we change our gap, our dividers are going to reposition themselves. Nothing is going to break. Unbreakable situation. You love to see it. You love to see it. Okay. Notice they don't have a divider on the bottom of their last grid, of their last item. So I am going to say root after not. I think this will just get it done here. Not last child after not last child. Last of type, no. Not nth child. I don't know if we can do the not on here. Root after. Oh, you know what? It's probably, yeah, the not is, I'm sorry. The not needs to go here. Not last child. There we go. We're done. Okay. I don't know. Once again, my brain temporarily short-circuited. Okay. I like this. I like this. That's the kind of scalable, maintainable way to approach that section. Now, we still have to make it dynamic with query loops and all of that, but I want my brain to take a break from that section, and I want us to tackle this situation down here. And I know that this might be a little bit longer of an episode, but I wanted to get, this was one of my goals, was to get to this. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. Okay. It's a toughie. I looked at it like, that's tough. And let me explain. Because once again, scalability, maintainability, dynamic, 9.9 developers out of 10 probably going to put static images in here. They're always going to be the same. They got to be swapped out manually. They're not really tied to anything, right? When I do this, I like, these are supposed to be testimonial people who gave testimonials, right? We're going to have a testimonial CPT. We need to be able to dynamically generate this situation right here. And what that gives us the ability to do is randomize the content on visits. So every visitor like sees different people. And it allows us to always stay fresh, because you're going to query like the newest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the newest 10 people, the newest 10 reviews. It's just a way to keep this nice and dynamic instead of statically putting things around that are kind of like unlinked to any sort of other reality happening in the website architecture. But doing this presents more challenges, right? Okay, so down here, notice we have logos. We're gonna call this brands. We're gonna call this brands. We need 2 more CPTs, guys. 2 more CPTs thinking about architecture. So we're gonna do testimonials and brands. Now you wanna figure out, do you wanna call this reviews and brands or testimonials and brands? A lot of times I go with reviews because it's just a shorter word. So let's do that. So let's get out of the builder for a minute. Let's go back here. I think you're going to want to stick around for this section. Trust me. Okay. So, post types, add new. Let's go reviews, reviews. Okay. Save. And then post types, add new, post type, add new, brands, brands. Save. Okay. So let's go reviews first. All right. So reviews, we're going to add new, and we're just going to be using post title and featured image. And I have everybody's photos in here. So this is going to be, oh, she didn't even have a name. All right. So we'll say Jen, publish, go back, and then add new. And I'll do featured image of her. All right. Sheila. She don't look like a Sheila, but it's okay. I don't even know if that's how you spell Sheila. I don't even care. We're going to keep moving on. Add another review. This is going to be Beth. All right. Go back. And now we're going to add, like, there's like 10 of these freaking people. Judy. I'm just going to use like super plain Jane. We'll call them white names, right? Because I don't, like I'm gonna get, I don't want to get canceled just because I'm trying to make a grid. Like you got me coming up with ethnic names and stuff. No. We ain't going into that territory. Okay. You ain't catching me going into that territory, right? Okay. Like this dude, 100% of Ben, 100% of Ben. All right. I don't know. I'm moving through this as fast as I can right now. Y'all got me scared. I'm sweating right now. Okay. This guy can be Jake. I don't care. We're not even putting any thought into this. All right, we're going back. Here we go. Let's add another one. Here they are down here. Okay. All right. Jane. Yeah. 100% of Jane, isn't it? 100%. All right, let's go back. Let's go add new. Set featured image. Okay. What do we want to call her? Rhonda. She does look like a Rhonda. All right, let's go here. Add new. We don't have a Rebecca yet, right? She got to be a Rebecca. There's got to be a Rebecca. All right, publish, go back and add new. First, I'm going to build this static and then Greg. Then we're going to make it dynamic, kind of like we did with the resources area over there. Okay, so we got all these reviews in. We're not going to worry about the brands right now. Let's go back to our homepage, pop in there, and we are going to tackle this section, okay? First, we need a section. Bring that down here. What are we going to call this section? This is going to be, what does this say? Powering of the best customer experience. Okay, we'll call this experiences, right? Experiences. No, this is social proof. We're going to call this social proof. Social, golly, bricks, type it. Social proof. Okay. Save. I want to refresh the builder. Something's bogging it a little bit. Okay. Back in action. We're going to call this our social proof grid. Excellent. Social proof grid. What do we need to do here? I'm immediately, you already watched my, hopefully, go to my Geary.co channel, watch my grid area tutorial. Anytime you see a situation like this, instantly in your mind, you should think CSS grid, and you should also think CSS grid area, which, like I said in that video, allows you to place items in a grid like an absolute sniper, okay? Sniper level accuracy. I'm talking Navy SEAL sniper level accuracy with placement of your items in the grid. All we need to know, the hard part is figuring out ratios and like how many columns do we need? How many rows do we need? I'm going to do rows first because that's the easy one. Okay. So we're just going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So we're going to have a 6-row grid. So immediately I can come over here. We're going to call this social proof grid like that. And we are going to say display as a grid template rows, grid 6. All right, that gives us a 6-row grid. Now we got to figure out our column situations. And I'm just going to tell you, these are square images, which means when we do our row spans, call spans, they need to be equal, right? If we span 2, we got to go span 2 on our rows as well. So span 2 columns, span 2 rows. And in order, what I'm seeing here, just based on past experience, whenever you have an overlap situation like that, you can only achieve that in grid by spanning things more than one row, right? If everything spans one row, they will never touch each other, especially if we have gaps. They'll never touch each other. So we have to span multiple rows. So, which means we have to span multiple columns. Like we're going to span 2 rows for each of these things. And column-wise, that means each of these columns is a value of 2. So we're looking at 2, 4, 6, and 8. So there's at least 8 columns, but then what about this situation right here? So when I look at this, I say, how many of these can fit into here? And I'm thinking, if we have a situation like this, right? That's like 1, 2, 3, 4. This is rough. This is so rough. 5. I'm just going to go with that. Maybe it's 6. I don't know. We can kind of dial it in at the end. But I'm going to start with 5. Remember, each one of these has a value of 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. So this is worth 10 columns by itself. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. That's where I'm going to start. So we're going to go with an 18 column grid. There's no variable for that. So we're going to say repeat 18, min max 0, 1 FR. Okay, save. 6 rows, 18 columns. Now we're going to start loading things in. If I want to be able to query loop these things and just going on my principle before of everything, all these media items need a wrapper, we need to put a div in here. Okay, so div, and that is going to be our media wrapper. And then we're going to have media in that, which is our image. We're going to name that media. Okay. What do we want to call this? Social proof grid media. I actually want to auto BIM this. So media wrapper, media, but we also need our content wrapper. That's going to be a block. And we're going to say content wrapper. And inside of our content wrapper is going to be this little accent heading, which now for the first time, we're seeing an accent heading that doesn't have the underline effect on it, which I think is okay. I can just remove that on the fly. So accent heading, so text, an actual heading, and then our dual buttons, okay? Text, actual heading, and dual buttons. We want that heading to be first, by the way. We want our text to go in there. Everything is going to be super squished because it's in a crazy grid. Join the best is what that says. Join the best. Don't worry, just like before, we are going to bring order into chaos here, right? Accent heading, awesome. By the way, on our accent heading, this one is going to be just a paragraph. I'm going to go ahead and make the order -1, so it's always the first thing in whatever container it's in, because accent headings go above everything else. So that just kind of makes sense there. And then I'm going to call this accent heading. We're going to need to exclude our accent heading from auto BIM. Let's keep that in mind. This heading is going to get auto BIMmed. This content wrapper is going to get auto BIMmed. I think everything else is good. We'll add the buttons after because that's not going to have auto BIM. So social proof grid, let's hit the auto BIM button. Let's go in and say media wrapper, media accent heading. All right, exclude the accent heading. Social proof grid, apply classes. Now our things have classes. What I'm going to do is take this content wrapper and get rid of it for right now. So I'm going to say display none. All right, I don't want that in my way. I'm really concerned with getting media placed right now. And this media, I'm just going to bring in as a static individual. Okay, so there's our media in our grid. We've got our media wrapper. So social proof grid, media wrapper. Excellent. All right, we're ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to go into custom CSS here. really only way to do this efficiently. So we're going to say social proof grid media wrapper. Excellent. And we're going to go with a grid area. We want this item to start on row 2, right? So start on row 2. What column is it going to start on? 1, okay? Now we want, remember, column spans and row spans are just span 2. We don't even need numbers for them, just span 2, span 2. And that is going to give us 2, 1, span 2, span 2, our first item placed in the grid. And we want to say that you are nth, not nth child, because, how are we going to do this? Because they're all divs. I can't say that they're a different type of item. Okay. No, I maybe nth child works here. We might have to do some diagnosing of a potential problem. I don't even know yet. All right, so item number 2, and we're gonna try to keep this organized. It really helps the brain when you keep this stuff organized. We're gonna call this column left. So call left right there, and those 2 items are in call left. Where's this one? So row 4 is where the next one needs to start, but it's also going to be on column 1. And I just need to duplicate that. And there she is. Good. Now I'm going to take that and we're going to say call left inside, right? Call left inside. This is the inside column on the left-hand side. Okay. This is going to have 3 items in it. So 1, 2, this is going to be 3, 4, and 5. Perfect. Okay. Let's think about this. Immediately, these go to column 3. We can see that. And then this is going to be, I would think, oh yeah, our row starts on 1, spans 2 to go to 3, spans 2 to go to 5, and then spans 2 to the end. Perfect. 2, 3, 4. And here they come. Look at that. Look, absolute sniper. Sniper, okay? Now what we need to do, this is looking really good so far. This is very promising. I need to take all of this and paste. And then this is going to become call right and call right inside. Now, thinking about columns in our head, remember we have 18 columns that we've defined on our grid here. So 18, 2 back from, and actually 19 is the last column. 2 back from that is 17. So these need to start on column 17. Okay. And then, oh, no. That's this. This one needs to start. Not 71. 17. It's the, yeah, I need to switch the order of these. So in my mind, this is in the right order. Okay. Call right, root media. Yeah, nth child is not 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This should be 6, 7, 8, and then 9 and 10. Excellent. Okay. 17, span 2. Oh, we don't have a 9 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, we're getting there. All right, social proof grid. All right, so we did call right. We need to do call right inside is 2 back from 17 is 15. And that puts those there. Now we just have to see if our content wrapper is going to blow all of this up. Technically, I want my content, it is. Fuck. I want my content wrapper to be first in the DOM. So let's think about what I need to do for this. Root media wrapper. The nth child only counts, it doesn't count that class. It counts the divs that are in there. I'm wondering if there's something I can use instead of div. I can. You can use custom elements. We're going to go with HTML tag custom, and we're going to call this our social proof container. actually, maybe if I do, I don't even know. I don't even know if I do this, if it ignores it. I think it will though, because now if I change to inth of type instead of inth child, it should ignore that container. And I'll show you in the DOM what this looks like in just a minute. Let's go to custom. Where are we? Okay, inth child, inth of type. I think, I think that this is gonna save us. I think this is gonna save us. Inth of type, inth of type, inth of type, inth of type, inth of type. Oh, did it not save us? Inth of type. It did. It saved us. It saved us. Okay. Go away. Here's what we got going on here. Okay, let's inspect the DOM. So what I did, right? That inth child, this was all divs. Everything. The content wrapper, the images are all in divs. Inth child is just counting the divs. And if you do inth of type, it's going to be the exact same thing because they're all divs. It's looking for the type of thing. They're all divs. The minute I change this to a social proof container HTML element, which this is valid HTML, it's called a custom HTML element or something, it became a different type of thing. And now it allows me to skip over it basically in my inth selection. And now I can select it all by itself. Now, the problem is you need to explicitly set a display property on custom elements. Like if I take this, well, I think it's okay because I put display flex. That's fine. Okay. We're all good. We're all good. We're all good. Where is this item going to go? So social proof grid style. I'm going to come down here and I am going to target root media, what content wrapper, right? Content wrapper. Let's do a border check. Border 5 pixel solid red. Got it. I got it. Okay. And I'm just going to go, I'm not even going to use grid area on this. We're going to go grid column. And we're going to say you need to start on, remember, 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to start on 4. And you need to end on, you just need to span. How many are you going to span? Didn't we say it's going to span 10 or something like that? Maybe it starts on 5. Yes. Starts on 5, spans 10. I think that's going to work. Okay, and then we're going to go grid row. Oh my gosh, come on. Starts on 5, spans 10. Okay, grid row starts on, now there's 2 ways to, I think we can do this. You can do just starts on 1 and goes to -1, like it spans all of them. But notice that here, it's only like in the middle. We could use padding to kind of fake this. And almost use like a section padding, like we can do padding block. And we can say section space M. And that's going to put top and bottom section padding. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. We need to put let's go to our content wrapper. Let's do row gap of content gap. This is going to be an H2 heading. Yep. Okay. Powering 100,000 of the best experiences. Perfect. On our content wrapper, we're going to align everything to the center. Typography, align everything to the center there as well. Align main axis to the center. Absolutely. Okay. And then we need a button. We need a dual buttons wrapper, which we have somewhere up here. Let's just duplicate that. Inline buttons, steal this, bring it down here and drop it. Oh, did it not bring it? CTA links alpha. Just drag that to here. There it is. Why didn't this center? Why didn't this center? Inline buttons here. Why aren't you centering? Flex. Row gap, that's not a problem. Center, start, end. Oh, that's not applying to hardly anything in here. Let's go refresh this. I don't know if Bricks is just poo-pooing itself or what's going on here. Let's go. We got a problem solve here. Well, we're getting very close, guys. We're getting very close, though. I mean, this is fantastic. Okay. So social proof container, H2, it is display flex, align item center, justify content center. Why is this ignoring display flex, flex wrap, row, flex, align self, flex start? What? Where did that come from? Okay, well, we don't need that. Let's just go here, inline. Oh, there it is right there. I apparently clicked that button at some point, and there you go. Okay, on the ID level here, if we go to accent heading, remember we have a border. We have a border and padding on here on the ID level. Actually, we'll just do accent heading, a modifier class, okay? No divider. And on that one, we're gonna go padding bottom back to 0, and then border bottom back to 0, okay? And then we can actually probably do width of auto again. Okay, bring that back to auto width. Bam. Now we have like a modifier where anytime we don't want the border situation going on, we just pop that modifier class on, gets rid of it, and we're good to go. Next thing we need to do, if you just look at their grid, it's just a lot of space in between everything, which tells me just go with a big gap. Go with a big gap on here. Social proof grid, gap is going to be space XL, something like that. Save, refresh, like an absolute fucking sniper, okay? Excuse me while I tighten up my black belt, okay? All right, or as they say in jujitsu land, the black belts. All right, I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm on a roll. We are on a roll. I don't care if we're almost 90 minutes in. We are on a roll. We need to tackle this thing right here, and then I'm calling it a day, and we're gonna move on to the next episode. Okay, we need a little slider action here, a little slider action. So I am going to add a container. All right, there we go. And we're going to call this brand slider. How about that? Brand slider. Okay. Let's call this brand slider. Brand slider. You know what? Let's not make that class yet. Let's use auto BIM. Let's stick to, we got auto BIM as a new feature. We got to teach ourselves to get consistent using it. Okay. If you don't know anything about these kinds of sliders right here, if you want to do it with pure CSS, you need a main container that kind of locks this thing in place. And then you need an inner container that's actually going to animate. The logos go inside of that. And then you need a duplicate of it to make it seem like an infinite loop. That's basically that's how I've always done it, more or less. So inside a brand slider, we're going to put a block. That block is going to be a logos wrapper, or we'll just say animated. We'll call it an animated wrapper. That's what we'll call it, an animated wrapper. And then in our animated wrapper, and because we want to query loop these, you have to have a wrapper on the elements. So we're going to use a block for this. And we're going to say that this is a brand wrapper. Okay, we got brand slider, brand wrapper makes sense. And then we'll do an image. And this is going to be the brand. All right, brand. And I'm just now remembering, I'm so sorry. I'm just now remembering. It just like popped in my head for no freaking reason. Up here, we did not do this semantically accurately. This is a list and a list items and actually articles. I'm going to make a note. We're going to fix this in the next episode. We're going to make this more semantically accurate in the next episode, okay? Let's stay on task. Let's stay on task. All right. Kevin, one thing at a time. Calm your brain, my friend. All right. Social proof, brand slider, animated wrapper, brand. I like what I'm seeing here. Let's get a brand in called Grubhub, okay? And I believe if I just query loop this, it's just going to duplicate a bunch of them. I got to query loop the wrapper. That's the only thing you can query loop. Let me see if it does. It does. I don't know how many it's going to make on its own. Like, what if I say 20? Will it make 20 like by itself? I don't think it will. Okay. Maybe we don't go this route yet. Maybe we just manually duplicate it a bunch of times for right now. We are going to make it dynamic, but not right now. I love to solve problems statically statically, and then we will make it dynamic later. All right, so let's just get all these brand wrappers duplicated. The animated wrapper, oh, before we go any freaking further, let me get rid of these. We need to auto BIM this, okay? So the animated wrapper has brand wrapper inside of it, and then brand inside of that. No, we want the brand slider to be the parent. So brand slider, animated wrapper, brand, yes, that's what we want, okay? All right, now we can duplicate the brand wrapper. Bang, 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 bang. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go with 10, okay? Animated wrapper, we are going to set as display flex. That's probably the best way to handle this. The row gap, column gap situation, we're just gonna say 1M for now. Okay, and I need 2 of these, like I mentioned. Okay, so we're gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna say that this brand slider is also going to be flex, also going to be row, and it is set to no wrap. Okay, let me think about this. No wrap. Okay, we're good. Let's create the, let's get it animating. Let's get it. We might have too many. Oh, look at this. The gap between the two things. Okay, the column gap, 1M. Yes, that needs to match. We might make a locally scoped variable for that. Actually, let's do that now. So brand slider, we're gonna go into our CSS, root. Okay. And I might just do these as 2. Now, getting in my head about the time. I'm so sorry. I'm getting in my head about how long I'm taking, okay, in one single episode. I mean, we're doing the work. We're getting the work done the way that it needs to get done. It's just, it's in my head about how much time. So I might split this up and just release both episodes back to back. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens in the editing room. Okay, so root is going to be slider gap. Let's do 1M for right now, okay? Because this appears in 2 different places, we have to tokenize it. So slider gap, and then in the animated slider wrapper, this also gets the slider gap. So now you can change the gap confidently from one source of truth. Okay, let's get this thing animating. So for a simple animation that's like sliding left, right? Let's go, let me get into, oh God, cuss here. Okay. So let's go keyframes. We're going to call this slide left. That's going to be the name of the animation. We're going to start at 0% and we're going to go to 100%. Okay, just like that. And yes, it needs to be like this. Sorry, I don't do these often. I'm trying to remember the formatting, okay? How this needs to be formatted. So keyframe slide left, 0% to 100%. What we want to do is translate at 0, it's going to be 0. And then at 100% across the x-axis, we want to do like minus 50% and 0. So we've got keyframe slide left. This is our animation. I'm sorry, we don't need colons here. I don't know what I'm doing. 0% and 100%. That should be all we need. And now what we need to do is select the animated wrapper, right? And we need to animate it. So no, it's called animation. Animation, the name of the animation, and then we're gonna go with like some sort of timing here, linear and infinite. Let's go in an infinite loop. Because we have 2 of them, I'm hoping it's going to work out to where it looks like it never ends, okay? Let's go with a refresh here. Let's make sure we're looking at all current updated situation here. All right, it looks like what we need to do is we need to get our hiddens in, right? So I'm just gonna keep moving forward. If we have any issues, we will address it when we get there. I'm wondering if centering things is going to help this at all. All right. We'll keep tackling this. I think I have too many items, number one. So let's get rid of one from each group. That's going to make these a little bit bigger. Let's get rid of another one from each group. How big are they on there? Okay, they're how big is the okay? Yeah, that looks about right. That looks about right. Okay, so brand slider, we're gonna say it needs to be overflow hidden. And then we actually need to overflow hidden the animated wrappers as well. Basically hiding all overflow everywhere. Now, if you notice, like ours is going to the edge of the container, but theirs, I noticed, is cut off well before that. It only goes to the edge of the inside. So I'm just gonna do something like, let's do width 100%, max width of width L. That looks about right. But now we have, again, we need to drop some items. I'll drop 2 from each one. Okay. That's pretty good. I'm wondering if the size, here's the brand wrapper. I wonder if we give these an explicit width, if that's gonna help things out. And I don't know if we can do it on our actual media, but we can try. Let's say a width of, or really a min width is what we want. We want a min width of 150. Yeah, 120. 80. Probably a min width of 80. Let's convert that to rem. Okay, save. Kind of liking that. Why is that cut off? Okay, it just had to reset or something. Okay, what we need is the fades. Oh, theirs is going a bit faster too than ours. Okay, so what we need to do is just mess with our timing function. Let's bring it to 10. 5. There we go. It's going a little bit faster. 8. All right, let's save there. We need the ins, okay? We're going to use pseudo elements for that. Do this all the time, okay? So we're going to say root. This is going to be a before and an after. So before and root after. There's some shared styles here. Content, we're going to say position absolute. We're not going to give it coordinates yet because the coordinates are not shared coordinates. Well, we can give it a inset block start of 0. They can both share that value, I guess. They can share a width of something like 100 pixels to just start. They can share a height of 100%. They can do a background color for right now of red. Okay, and that is all over the place because this needs to be position relative. See how doing all your CSS, I don't have to go panel to panel to panel to panel and find everything. I know exactly what needs to happen. Now we're going to go on our before, and we are going to say inset inline start is 0 on that one. And then our after, oh dear. Our after, Command Z works now, by the way, in the latest Bricks update. Inline end, okay, that's fantastic. They can both share a Z index of 1. Okay, see how we're covering up now? And all we need to do is cover it up with a gradient. That's all we need to do. So I want to do background image. What time is it? My kids just got home. Okay, they're going to interrupt us probably. Linear gradient, good time to close things out, right? Linear gradient, red, blue. Just start easy, right? 90 degrees, red, blue. And then replace the red with the color you want. Red, var equals base light. All right, so the blue gets replaced with transparent. There's still red back there because of this background color. So now I just need to steal this image. And we're going to go with, I'm just going to replace this with transparent. It's basically a backwards one. Actually, no. Oh. No, we got to still do it. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I thought I was going to be able to do something super clever. And I'm not. Okay, save, refresh. Oh, it's base ultralight. Base ultralight. Is it? Is it? Yes, base ultralight. Okay. 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 We're going to make a locally scoped variable for this because I don't like that. I don't like that it's statically referenced. So we'll call this section background color and call this section background color. And then on this section, which is our social proof section, it's not even doesn't even have a class. We can just go here. Section background color is base ultra light. And then for this background right here, we can use that variable section background color. And now these things, did I screw this up somewhere? Section background color. Section background color. Okay, did we lose? No, we didn't. No, it's all good. It's just everything looks seamless. So I'm like, did it screw it up? No, okay. Now look, if I ever go to change the background color on this section, right? I would go here and I would see, ooh, there's a locally scoped variable called section background color, which leads me to here where I see the section background color. And let's just make it like ugly, red, but look at my slider stays blended because my slider is sharing this value. Again, you're creating an unbreakable situation. It's the ability to identify, this might break if somebody ever makes a change. Let's make it unbreakable for them. All right, that's the extra step that we go to in this kind of work. Okay, so we've got our little slider going. We've got this section all done. Obviously, we need to loop everything, make everything dynamic. I see a little bit potentially of an issue going on with our slider that we're gonna have to diagnose, okay? But again, we're moving forwards towards the end goal, right? All right, I'm gonna have to call it. That's gonna be the end of this episode and we will be back. We've got so much more to do. This website, the Zendesk.com, presents a lot of challenges, which are obviously opportunities where we can really stretch our brain, stretch our imagination, stretch our skill set. It's really, really, really good practice. I'm glad that you are joining me on this journey. Drop a comment below, drop a like if you really like this content, if you're getting a lot out of this. I'll be back very soon. Peace.